Kaji name. Alright, alright. Yeah, we are ready for advancement. Can we have our seats? All right, praise God. Praise God. You know, the seminar is about to start, and I'll be the short host. But you're in good hands because I have experience hosting. You know, I've hosted Grammys, Oscars in my dream. In my dream, it went well. Everybody was clapping and shouting. So I believe this one step closer to me hosting the Oscars. All right. Um, First, I would like to thank PFA for for putting this together. It just shows that he's a caring father. Do you agree with me? He's a caring father. It's not just about, like you said, prophesying. It's good. But again, we have to do beyond prophesying, right? So today, quickly, I'll just give a rundown on how things will go so that we'll, walk aligned and we'll know what to expect. We'll have the presentation. We'll have four speakers. And after each presentation, I know we'll have questions, but we'll not take the questions immediately. So the ushers will, if you don't have a sheet of paper, they will send you a sheet of paper that you can write your questions after each of those presentations. We'll collate it, and after presentation, we'll ask your questions. But please, we'll write it, and I'm going to read it. We'll not be able to pass mic because of time. And also because we want to, limit repetition of questions. Because some people will ask, how do I write my CV? Then someone will ask, how do I compose my CV? So just to align that together. So after that, we'll end the service, but the experts will be available for consultation after the service for about 30 minutes. So, we'll give time to everybody that wants the, one-on-one advice, right? Please take advantage of this. These people, consultation fees for this kind of people is not cheap. When PFA asks me to, tell them that they will be doing consultation, I always avoid the word consultation. Because if anybody reach out to me and tell me they want my consultation, I know my response. How much are you paying lawyer? That's my response. So I'm like, how would I tell these experts that consultation? So I didn't use the word consultation. I said you will be advising us one-on-one, right? So that in that way we will not be paying so much. So please, these guys are guys that you won't see one-on-one on a normal day. So if you have questions about your career, personal questions, please after the service, we'll entertain you for about 5 or few minutes. So, all right. I would like to, introduce our speakers today. And it's very important, like PFA said, that we should take advantage of this. One of my favorite quotes is operating quote, which says, we can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. We can't keep doing it the same way and remaining there, right? How many of us saw the flyer of this seminar? How many of us saw it? The first thing that came to my mind when I saw that flyer is it a beauty pageant? Because our speakers are all looking good on those flyers. And I was like, what, might be editors, they might edit the picture and to look good. So I was like, let me wait till Sunday and see if they are really, really looking good. And ladies and gentlemen, these guys are looking good. These guys are looking good. Wow. And so, our first speaker today, they won't be coming off stage. I'm just, run through their names. You might have seen him in service one or twice. He's a member of this house. He's a very calm person. But if you get to know him, you know he's not calm. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I will not murder your name, but if I murder it, murder my own name too. Ladies and gentlemen, may you are Amori Goe. I know I murdered it. He is the senior talent acquisition for Meristem Security Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, again. This is why I love CAC. If this was CAC, you would have stand up and say, I can, hallelujah. I will know he's the one. But amen. You'll see him again. Next on our list, is Mr. Ni Fagbemi. He's the product designer for Hem Copper. You're welcome, sir. All right. Next on the list, she's also a member of the house. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Dorothy Akogun. And last but not the least, Mr. Deji Omokonye, the General Manager of Unify. Again, I know this is free, but I'm looking at some people. I will charge some people personally after this conference. Yes. All right. So again, we'll start now. And like I said, please, you might have your personal question, but just write it down. If you don't have a paper, ask the ushers. They'll give you a paper. We'll collate the question, then I will ask the question after the service. Please, these questions are meant to be tailored to the presentation, right? If you have a personal question, wait till after service. So the question is meant to be based on whatever they present. Do you understand? Do you understand? One thing I learned this week, I went for a course, and one thing they told us about communication is not just passing the information, but making sure that the receiver got the information and they understand the information. So do you understand? Do we understand? One of my way of making money is if you don't hack to the information I give, I will charge you, right? So do you understand? All right, sir. All right, to start today, they say ladies first, right? I will first of all read our topic so that you know what to expect. She'll be talking on CVs, writing standard CVs and tailored CVs to match job descriptions. And to talk on this, please welcome on stage the delectable, ever elegant looking Mrs. Dorothy Akogun.
Praise God. Good morning, everyone. Let's bow our heads as we pray. Thank you, Father, for this opportunity. Thank you again. Thank you, because we know that you care about us. We know that you care about everything that pertains to us. And Daddy, we have come today to learn. We pray, Daddy, that you would help us in the name of Jesus. We pray that you would teach us by yourself in Jesus' name, that our hearts and our minds are open to receive all that you have for us today in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Praise the Lord. Good morning again, everyone. Okay, I know I have very little time, so I'll try as much as possible to cover as much as we can within the time that we have. Okay, so as our presenter, our speaker, our host, okay, Mr. Tosin has said, what I'm going to be speaking about is writing a standard CV and tailoring CVs to match job descriptions. Now, before I start, does anybody have their CV here? Do you have your resumes here, physical copy or on your phone? If you do, please go to it. I want you to open your CVs. Let's all go to our resumes. Okay, and my goal here is to help us to think not like applicants, okay, not like people who want a job, but actually like business owners and recruiters. Okay, understanding the perspective of business owners and recruiters. What do they look out for? Because it's when you understand what they want that you'll be able to tailor your CV appropriately to match whatever role you're applying for. Okay, so now let's assume that you're a business owner, okay, and you have your targets, monthly revenue targets. Let's say you want to make 10 million every month in monthly revenue, and you want it to be recurring. That's your target for the year. And to make that 10 million, you need at least 10 consistent customers every month, okay? And now you have someone applying also because you want to, maintain your customers, because you want to maintain your revenue, you need a customer service person. Right. Now, you need someone to not just smile at customers, okay, not just be friendly, but someone that can get you the monthly revenue that you want. Now, let's assume you have two applicants. One says, oh, I'm a very pleasant person. I'm a people person. I'm friendly. I smile. I have a very lovely voice. I can speak to people. And then another person comes and says, I have managed a portfolio of 200 clients. Okay, I have increased customer service by 20%, customer satisfaction by 20%. Okay, I started off at so company managing 5 clients, and then by time, I started managing 55 clients. Now, if you were the owner of the business, who would you hire? The person who has the qualities of a customer service officer, or the person that can get you the results that you want? The results, exactly. Okay, so I'll refer to this later. Just hold it on one hand. Okay, now, many of us actually perform the work of recruiters, but we don't realize it. Okay, how many of you have bought something from an Instagram vendor that you don't know from anywhere? Okay, yes. Now, there are some of you that are probably preparing for your marriage, your wedding, okay? And, okay, and in the course of that, let's say you're looking for a photographer or a makeup artist or a decorator, and your friends have recommended some people to you, but maybe they are pricey, they're above your price range. So you go to Instagram to search for photographers, okay? Now, what do you use to shortlist first? Let's say you have like 10 photographers, you have gone through their profiles. What will you be looking out for first? Okay, quality pictures. Yes. What else? Okay, you probably, now you know that there are different kinds of photographers. They are the ones that do birthday photo shoots. They are the ones that do newborn photo shoots. And they are the ones that do wedding photo shoots. So you will most likely go for the one that has done wedding photo shoots from what you can see on their page, right? Now you've shortlisted, you've seen 3. You will now go through the quality of their pictures. Amongst these 3, let's say your wedding is going to be an outdoor wedding. Which of them has done photography for an outdoor wedding? Okay, so those are the things you look at to shortlist and then arrive at the person that you want. Then you now engage that person to say, this is what I want. Can you do it? Now, the way the person responds to you is what will determine if you will go with the person. Does the person actually know what they are saying? Okay, are you comfortable with the person? When you find someone you're comfortable with, then you go with them. That is what the recruitment process is. Okay, so that Instagram page that you search is your CV. That is what your CV is. Okay, because your CV, you are not there to tell the recruiter, I can do this. Okay, the recruiter just has CVs. That's the first. And you're a total stranger, so there's no reason they should be loyal to you and pick you. You have to prove to them on your CV that you can do the job. That is when they would shortlist you and then engage you. Okay, so yes, let's talk about the sections of a standard CV. What should you have in your standard CV? Now, the first thing is your heading. The heading is where you have your name and your contact details. I'll still go through everything, but I'll just run through the sections. So the first is your heading. The next is your profile summary, okay? Not career objective. Some people still use career objective, but that is old school. So not career objective. Your profile, a professional summary, or your career profile. Okay, that's the second. Then if you are a fresher, right? If you are a career starter, you are an early career person, it's good to have your skills right after your professional summary. Okay, so instead of, if you are experienced, then you can have your work experience right after your summary. But if you are not experienced, or if you are transitioning to a new career, you want to highlight your skills next. Okay, so heading, professional summary, skills. After that, you have your work experience. Then after that, you have your education. And after that, you have certifications and trainings. And then if you have awards and the likes, then you list that at the end. Okay, so let's start with the heading. What should you have in your heading? What should you not have in your heading? So first, your recruiter does not need your picture. Don't put your picture in your CV. If you've been doing that, then that is wrong. Except you are a creative. Okay, there are some roles that they request a headshot, but if they didn't request it, please leave it out of your CV. It is not needed. If they want to see what you look like, they'll go to LinkedIn to check. Okay, so leave that out. But what should be prominent is your name. Okay, your name and how you can be reached. Your active phone number, your email address, professional email address, not LazyBaby01, please. Okay, your professional one. Okay, your full name, email address. And if you have a LinkedIn profile, an active one, put the link to your LinkedIn profile there. And then the job title, okay, the title of the role that you are applying for, it should also be in your CV. So, and you should use the language of the job description. So, for example, customer service is what you do. Let's say you have customer service professional on your CV, and the role is saying they are looking for, the job description says they are looking for customer success professional. Okay, you should change that because it's still the same thing, but use the language of the job description. That is tailoring your CV. So use the language there for the role. Customer success professional. That is the heading part. Okay, then the next part is your professional summary. What should you have there? What I can do, my experience, the kind of results you can get to me. Basically, your promise to the employer. What am I promising you if you hire me? What will you get if you hire me? I usually advise everyone to have their elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch is simply, I am this, I can do this to get you this result. Or I am this, with this strength, with this skill, which is a strength of mine, I will get you this result. Okay, so for me now, I'm a business person, but my elevator pitch is, I help aspiring HR professionals gain the clarity, competence, and confidence that they need to start and build thriving HR careers. So you should have that elevator pitch, that anybody that asks you, what do? You can just say that to them. Okay, so have your elevator pitch. You can put that in your professional summary. If it's a role that requires extensive experience, mention how much experience you have in that work. Okay, if you are transitioning, what skills does that role need that you currently have? Okay, what strengths does the role need that you currently have? You highlight that in the professional summary. And that summary is very important because if you're applying, if they are reviewing your resumes manually, right, all they need to look at is your name, professional summary, skills, or experience. Nobody has the time to really go through the resume. There's no time. Because many times we receive 100 applications and we want just one hire. And we can't go through everything in detail, right? So that professional summary is really what they look at to know if they would shortlist this person or not. Okay, so ensure that you put your value. What value are you offering to the company? Put that in your professional summary. Then the next is your skills. Now, I usually say that before you write that skills section, for each job description, you can put it in ChatGPT and say, what are the top 20 skills that would put me ahead for this role, or that will make me one of the top 4 candidates for this role? That is an easy way to get the skills that the recruiter is looking for. Now, when ChatGPT gives you the skills, now look for which ones you have, okay, which ones you can highlight. Please be honest, okay, and then put it there. And please don't use buzzwords like problem solving, detail-oriented, no, okay. Include technical skills and soft skills. Technical skills is the skills to do the job. Soft skills is skills like business acumen, that's a skill. Okay, what's it called? Human-centered design thinking. That is a soft skill. Okay, so those are things. Conflict management, that's a soft skill. Empathy, okay. Emotional intelligence, those are soft skills. So include both technical and soft skills. If you have skills with any software, okay, make sure you include it in that skills section. Then the next is your experience. You start from the most recent. Okay, what have you done? And then you don't just write out your job description again in that section. Don't just say, attended to walk-in customers, answered several calls per day, okay? No. Remember what I told you before, the 2 customer service people, right? You would rather pick the one that can show results, that can show impact. So that is what you should put. What impact did you make in that role? What results did you get in that role? That is what should be in your work experience, not the job description, not just what you've done, but what results did you get? You know, I usually tell people that when you get your appraisal feedback, please have somewhere that you write it down or that you save it. You save your wins, your accomplishments, so that when it's time for you to refine your CV, that's an easy place to go to refine it. Then your education, okay. You don't need to put your secondary school education, except that's the highest degree you have. You don't need to put your primary. What you need to put is the degree that is relevant to the role. Okay, so for example, you studied, I'll give an example of myself, right? I studied English education at the University of Lagos, and I did my master's in education administration. But then I taught for about 5 years before I transitioned to human resources. So when I was applying for my first HR role, in my education section, under my master's in education administration, what I did was I highlighted that I took courses in human resource in that program. Okay, that's just me tailoring that CV to the role, showing them that I have actually received training in human resource, so I can do the job that you want to employ me to do. Okay, so ensure that it is relevant. Include only relevant details. If you have received awards, include it. Okay, after education is your certifications and trainings. If you have taken any certification that is relevant to the role, put it. Trainings relevant to the role. Trainings that show that you have the skills that they need, include it, okay? And after that, please, you don't need to include hobbies. No one needs to know your hobbies, okay? I know many people do that. You don't need to include your hobbies. After that, if you have awards and awards, yes, or volunteer work that you can include, then you include that. And then your referees, you can just simply write referees available on request, okay? Because we are in the age of data privacy. You can't just send people's details to everybody. Okay, so just put referees available on request. That's fine. So those are the sections of your resume. And then how do you tailor your CV to a job description? Now, one thing I do when I see a job description is I go first to the requirements and qualifications to see if I'm actually qualified for I don't read the description first. I go straight to the requirements to say, okay, they're asking for this. Do I have it? Can I do this? Do I have this skill? Once I see that it's a match, then I now go to the description to read it. But if it seems like jargon to you, you have ChatGPT, right? Just copy the job description and paste it and say, in layman terms, what are the skills required for this role? Or in layman terms, explain what this role is required to do. That's if you are finding it difficult to understand the JD. Okay, but then I think once you go to the requirements, just see, are they a match? Can I do what they need? Okay, what they need the person to be able to do. And then pick the keywords in that CV, in the job description, and match it to your resume. Okay, sometimes they're using the same words, or they mean the same thing, but the word in your CV is different from the word in the job description. So just pick the one in the job description, replace it with the equivalent in your CV. Because if they are using an ATS, the ATS will be looking for keywords in the job description. That's what it will be trying to match the CVs with. Okay, so yes, I hope I manage my time very well. Okay, so yes, those are the things that you should look out for to identify. And then there are tools that you can use once you have written your CV to know if your CV is good enough. There is Resume Worded. Okay, Resume Worded. You can use that to analyze your CV to see if your CV, is very good. But I would advise you, when you want to use tools like that, please take out your personal details and take out the details of the company. Replace it with dummy names, dummy company names. Don't use the exact data for the sake of data privacy. Okay, so put it there and then see the score. And then the good thing about Resume Worded is that they give you recommendations based on your score. Okay, so you can use that to improve your CV. I created a free course that everybody can take because I know that the time will not be enough to really go through the sections in a resume. So the link to the course will be shared on the group. You can take the course. There are sample resumes there that you can look at and use to modify your resumes. So thank you very much.
You agree with me that we are off to a great start, right? Okay. And she was so nice and caring enough to, create a specific course for us to, to go through so that we will be sure that we got or we have an experience of what she's saying. So the link is with me. I will share it to the church WhatsApp group. But if you are not on the church WhatsApp group, please walk up to me so I can share the link of the CV review courses. These courses are very important. And even in your CV, you can put it there that you went through a CV writing course. I'm just giving you a hint. All right. Next, our next speaker, again, the son of the house. And, we are moving gradually. Now you've written your CVs. Now your CV is standard. What next? Right? Acing the interview. You've been called for interview. How do you ace the interview? Right? In order not to murder his name again, I will allow him to tell you his name fully. Please welcome on stage where you are.
Don't worry, Tosin, you won't murder my name. Good morning, church. My name is Meiwa Amorigoye. Very simple. Meiwa Amorigoye. Yeah, try. Can go. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right, I'll just begin my presentation. But I would like everyone to please pay attention because these informations are very pivotal for your career. All right? Tosin, are you going to share my slides? Thank you. So I'll be speaking on acing interviews. The first speaker spoke about our CVs, writing our CVs, and that's the first thing you do when you're selling yourself. The second part of it, which is the most important part, is acing the interviews. And I like to explain what an interview is. Look at it this way. You're going on a date with a lady as a guy. And then you want to know this person. What do you do on that date? You ask questions, right? So those are the questions that the interviewer will be asking you. Okay? And you as the interviewer, you respond because you want this person to know who you are. All right? So next slide, please. Okay. So why interviews? You need to understand why you have to go through this process. The first interest is first impression. The interviewer is looking to know who you are, what you've done, and why you're the best fit for this role. And it goes around 3 axes. We call it KSA, knowledge, skills, and ability. Right? This knowledge, skills, and ability is what you have done, what you know, and what you can give to the organization. I'm just going to run through it, which is also the skills demonstration that's on my slide. Then the mutual assessment is between the organization that's the interviewer, assessing the interviewee. So they're asking you questions because they want to assess you, they want to know what you can do. And you also assessing the organization because you want to know what they have to offer me. So it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way conversation. And most times at the end of the interview, I'm sure you've noticed, if you attended the interview, they ask you, do you have any questions for us? Please always ask questions. All right? So I'll go to my next slide, different types of interviews. I'll just run through that. You have one-on-one interview. You have behavioral and technical competence interview. You have virtual interview because we live in a virtual world. You have group interview and panel interview. So I'll take them one after the other. The one-on-one I don't need to explain is where an interviewer interviews you and just have a conversation with you. The behavioral and technical one, I'll explain that. So for a pilot or a medical doctor or a surgeon, your interview would not just be a verbal one. They can give you a dummy to perform the surgery on because they need to know that you have the skill sets to do that. For a pilot, they can give you an airplane to say, okay, a simulation, say, okay, fly. Because they want to know that you have the skill sets. But you also know, in every interview, they're looking for 2 things. I said, knowledge, skills, and ability. That's one. The second one is the culture fit. Every organization has its culture, right? The same way the Ransomed House has our culture, our core values. So every assessment you're going through, every interview, they're looking for these key things in you. Your KSA, knowledge, skills, and ability, and your culture fit. Because they have a culture in their organization. If you go through, when you're preparing for interviews, we will get to much later, you see where you're preparing, then you go through the company website, you know their core values, their culture, and all of that. So the next one is virtual interviews. I don't need to speak more about that. Group interviews. All right. So there's situations where you want to hire a couple of people, and I've been in that kind of situation before. And instead of hiring them one-on-one, right, you put everybody, all the candidates in the panel, and you interview them at the same time. And you get to see their behavioral patterns and all what you're looking for. The panel interview is where one person is interviewed by several interviewers. Okay? So the next slide. So this is the next slide, please. Okay, so now we're getting to the most important part, which is preparing for your interview, which I call interview 101, is to know the company. Whatever company you're applying for, please, please, and please, read about the company. Know what they do. Know their mission, know their vision, know their core values. What that tells the interviewer is that you are interested in the organization. Okay? I take that again. You need to read about the company. What are they into? What industry do they do? What products do they have? If they have subsidiaries, what are those subsidiaries into? I'll give you an example. A while back, we were hiring for an aeronautic engineering company, Airbus, and we're looking for someone for the office in Abuja. And when we asked this lady the question, what do you know about us? She didn't just tell us about Airbus. She went as far as giving us the specs of their plane. I didn't expect that from her. She called like 4 different planes, A380, A331, A370, and she was giving us the specs of their plane. The interviewers were not in Nigeria, they were in France because it was a virtual one. And they were wild, like, oh, you know our products and services. You even know the specs of our products. At the end of the day, she got the job, not just because of that, but it showed that you were really interested in this organization. A lot of people don't really take time to prepare for interviews. Please, it's important to know about the company, okay? The second one is to review the job description, to review the job description and your resume. Because every interview, the questions you will be asked is based on the job description that was posted for that role, right? It's tailored towards that. Practice questions is also important. You want to prepare a question for the interviewer and then plan your attire and logistics. Yes, this also happens a lot where people don't prepare well. I've been in interviews where the outfit of the person, and this speaks about you. You might just think, okay, like I said, there's a culture of the organization. You might just think, okay, I know it, but how do I look? All right? You need to know how to dress for the part. You need to look the part when you're going for an interview. Please, all right? We need to look the part. Okay, so the next slide is the most important one, and that's preparing for an interview. And this is what we call the STAR technique in interviews, when they're asking you questions, right? The STAR technique. So you have situation, tasks, actions, and results. All right, so I will need the help of a volunteer, please. Anyone? So I'll explain. Okay, Tosin, you can come. Thank you. I need a mic. I need another mic for Tosin. All right, so Tosin and I are going to do a role play, right? I'm the interviewer, Tosin, you're the interviewee, okay? And I want all of you to pay attention. So I'll just ask Tosin 3 questions. Tosin, don't tell me story, just simple question, all right? No stories. Okay, so using the STAR approach, right? All right, Tosin, tell me of a time where, just imaginary, okay? A time where you dealt with an irate client. So a client that was angry and the client called you.
Check.
How did you deal with that client? 1 minute.
High risk.
An angry client.
High risk client.
Yes.
Okay. The clients wanted a project delivered in 6 weeks, and the ideal time for the project is 10 weeks. And he doesn't want to hear anything. Deliver in 6 weeks and no compromise on the quality.
How did you handle the client?
All right. I told the clients that there is no way that could be achieved. That I can collapse some of the activities, but even at that, the best is 8 weeks. I can do.
All right. Do you realize that what Tosin has done is what is on your screen? There was a situation, and he spoke about the situation, right? And that situation was, which was the question I asked him. There was a task that he did. What was the task? The task had a timeline, which you spoke about. There was an action part, right? And there was a result. So I would explain this to you, right? In answering questions in any interview, you should be able to use the STAR approach. So if I was asked the question now to say, all right, Mewa, how do you handle difficult clients? And I'm going to use my role as an example. I would say, first of all, how I handle high-risk clients is, first of all, I make them understand that it's not intentional that I couldn't meet up with the deadline. But I will reassure them, okay, that I'll be able to deliver on the set time. Now, I could tell a story around situation, the task, and the action I took and the result. So I could say, all right, I want to use another example. Let's say, let me give you the perfect example where I would give you this. Okay, let's still use the customer service one, the irate client, and you ask the person, how did you deal with it? So there was a situation, the client was angry and the client called you, right? How do you deal with that irate client? The first thing you say is, I try to calm the client. I understand that the client is angry. I understand that this client needed, let's say, an account opening form that wasn't done. Needed to do his account opening form and it wasn't done properly. What did I do after that's the task? What I did was I called the client I was on the phone with the client and I took the client's details. That's also an action. What was the result? The client was able to be onboarded successfully. Does that make sense? So have I used the STAR technique to answer that question? Very simple, right? So in answering every interview questions, you have to use the STAR technique. So there's a situation. Would you always ask for a situation? The interviewer asks you, have there been a time where you had an integrity issue? Or that's behavioral question. Or they can ask you for the technical questions, what have you done in relation to this job? What have you achieved on this job? What do you understand by the role? Every question an interviewer asks you, you can use the STAR approach to answer that. And please always have a story to tell. By story, I don't mean keep it short and simple. You don't have to tell a very, very long story. Thank you. You don't have to tell a very, very, very long story, but you can just keep it short and simple. All right? So that'll be all for me.
All right, thank you so much. Please give a round of applause to me again. I'm sure we have questions. If you have questions, please, if you don't have a jotter to write your questions, you can ask the ushers. And if you need a jotter, a sheet of paper for a question you don't have, do we have anybody? All right, please, ushers, there's someone here who needs the paper. Also for Mrs. Dorothy, if you have questions for her, the CV review presentation, if you have a question for her also, you can raise your hand so that we can collate she has a question, so please, I want to say it's only questions that we collate that we're going to ask, please, because of time. All right, we are moving very fast, and we are about landing. All right, so the next person we'll be talking this morning will be Mr. Ni Fagbemi. He'll be talking about transitioning into tech. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I have just 15 minutes, so I'll try to be as fast as possible. First, I really want to appreciate Pastor Fisaya and his wife for this opportunity. Really great having me here. And please, can we put our hands together for the speakers that have spoken before me? It's a tough job when you're not the first speaker, right? You have to not drop the ball. So I was speaking on building a solid foundation when transitioning into tech, right? And before I share some of my points, I transitioned into tech. My first degree was in environmental biology. Not very exciting. But then we're in Nigeria where you try to do something and then Nigeria happens and the university happens and they sort of do something about what you thought you wanted to do and then they offer you a different course, right? But that shouldn't be any restriction or limitation to whatever it is you want to do. So of course, I did well in school. And so in case you probably think it's completely useless if you want to transition into tech and then you probably have a background that is non-tech, it's not completely useless, right? What I did was to, of course, do well in school. But while I was in school, I started taking some courses, and then eventually I was able to transition based on some of the things that I learned on my own. The good thing with tech is you can be self-taught. Many of the tech roles have a path where you can be self-taught, and eventually you can develop the necessary skills for those roles, right? You have a lot of free courses online. I learned primarily through YouTube. Right, so you have YouTube, you have Udemy, you have some of these specialized platforms where you can learn tech skills. All right, so if you want to transition into tech, what are the things to pay attention to? The first is, why do you want to transition into tech? Why tech, right? I know that a lot of people say there's blood money in tech. I haven't seen blood money yet, but maybe, right? But your why has to be stronger than money. If not, you find yourself starting the journey and then finding out that tech is very competitive, and then you realize that there are different leagues in tech. You can play in the small league and find out that you have the designation, you have the role, but you're not necessarily making the money that you expected to make. All right, so your why has to be stronger than money. If not, you could be disappointed. There are many ways to make money, legitimate ways. All right, there are many legitimate ways to make money. So your reason for transitioning into tech should not be primarily to make money. All right, your why has to be stronger. And maybe I should add that your why has to be resilient as well, because the journey from being a newbie in tech to getting to a point where you're able to at least make a decent income will require that you keep going even when it doesn't make sense. For example, when I was transitioning into tech, what I realized was that you're learning, you're applying, but you're not necessarily seeing the results early enough. It's like you're trying to learn it, but it's still not making sense. What makes it make sense is that you continue. And that phase of doing something continuously, even when you're not getting results immediately, could be very hard. So your why has to be resilient. I hope we got that. All right, so the second thing I want to point out is tech roles are divided into two categories, right? So there are technical roles, there are non-technical roles, all right? And then in the category of technical roles, you have code roles and no-code roles, right? So you can, when I say technical now, I mean that you're actually doing something actively as a tech person, right? You're writing code, you're designing software, you're a product manager, you're a DevOps engineer, you're an SRE engineer. You're actually doing something technical, right? But then within technical roles, there are some roles that require writing actual code, which is what many people are afraid of, right? Writing code. Now we have ChatGPT, and maybe I'll say something about that soon, all right? So you could either be writing code or you're not writing code. So that means you can be a web flow developer. You can be a PM. A PM doesn't necessarily write any code, but then you're also in a technical role. I hope that makes sense. All right. But then you now have non-technical roles, right? So you can be a marketing person in a tech company. You're in tech, but you're not just in a technical role in tech. I hope that makes sense. All right. So like tech is primarily that you are offering services, or your role has something to do with the development of a software or digital product, right? So you can be HR in tech, and you're making tech money, but not necessarily as a technical person. All right. So as you're thinking about transitioning into tech, don't just think about technical roles, right? You don't have to just think about, I need to learn how to write code, or I need to be a cybersecurity person. There's several roles. There's HR, there's admin. I mean, every other thing that you have in a typical company, you most likely will find in a tech company. And that is a non-technical role that also is relevant in tech. Just in case you're looking for like a quick way, dare I say, to get into tech. All right. And then, like I said, there are no code roles, right? Things that don't necessarily require code. So you can be a PM. You can be a UX writer, for instance. You don't need to learn how to write any code. You can leverage your ability to write content and then transition into UX writing, which is a non-technical role in tech. All right, so there are many opportunities. You can be an account manager, you can be in finance, you can be in technical support, right? You can be a product marketer. So that means if you have background in marketing, you can easily transition into product marketing and find your way in tech. I hope that makes sense. The third thing, I think this is very important, and this is something that worked for me, is find a point of convergence, right? We're in a place where many times the journey is never really linear. You probably studied biology like me, and then, your journey was just not straightforward. There's always a point of convergence, right? Where do all my experiences, all my skill sets, where do they converge? If I'm transitioning into tech, if I have experience writing content, if I have experience with marketing, if I have experience with, running ads and doing social media marketing, where do all these skills converge, right? Because the truth about it is there are some people who went to school, especially if you're thinking of maybe a global role. There are people out there who went to school specifically for the role you're applying for. and you are meeting the role halfway after spending 5 years doing other things. You need to find a way to leverage what you already have, right? And then use that as a springboard to transition into a new role in tech. So if you already know how to write well, you can get into tech as a UX writer. That's a very good way to find convergence. For example, for me, I was doing graphic designs, motion designs, right? But then I was going to transition into product design. And I needed to leverage my understanding of motion to build skill sets in interaction design. I needed to leverage my understanding of visual communication to build my skill set in designing UIs. I needed to leverage my experience. Of course, I was a campus leader, so I spoke to a lot of people. I needed to leverage my experience speaking to people to build skills as a UX researcher, right? So all of those things were not a waste. By the way, if you're here and you studied a Greek or something, it's not a waste. Find somewhere in your journey where things can converge. I hope that makes sense. All right. Something I want to quickly mention, and I think this is like the most important part of my speech. We learn things very terribly in Nigeria. We don't know how to learn in Nigeria, and I'll give you an example. I learned how to play music. I think I still know how to play music. I hope I do. It's been a while. But if you learned how to play the keyboard here, and I know many people started, and for some reason they can still only play one song after 20 years. The reason is because we started out learning music to play a song, not to learn music. So there's this desire to want to quickly show off results without necessarily paying attention to rudiments. And it's the same thing with tech. You find out that in Nigeria, you can do a boot camp. And trust me, I really don't like boot camps because it creates an illusion that you can do something in 3 weeks and then start making 2 million naira. It's not going to happen because there are many things that are going to be skipped, all right? And so what happens is I see a lot of people on LinkedIn, they know how to put together some UI screens, and then the next thing, they are showing themselves off as a senior product designer. What will happen eventually is you get all the applauds, people are hailing you, hey, and LinkedIn people, they don't even read what you wrote. They just like and pass, But I've interviewed people, and the part where we drop off lots of candidates is that they obviously can do the show-off part, but they've not built strength in the rudiments. So it takes time, all right? If you're transitioning into tech, it takes time. There are engineers who can write code, but there are engineers who are good engineers, and I know the difference. I used to work at a company where, and if you're an engineer here, when they say somebody cooked beans, right? It means the code, it was working, but when you patch things so much that if you just remove one thing, the entire thing comes crashing down. The engineer could write code, but he wasn't a good engineer, and there's a difference. To be a good engineer, you need to understand how engineering works. You need to understand how problem solving works, how to build good code, readable code, right? And so that's the difference. If you just want to get a quick job, you can do a boot camp, get a quick job. But if you're thinking of something sustainable, pay attention to the rudiments. And it's the same thing with music, all right? You can learn how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb in 2 days, but you will never be able to play in an orchestra. Are you following what I'm saying? All right? So as far as people are concerned, you can play the keyboard because you can play a song. But we all know that when the chips are down, and let me say when the rubber meets the road, okay, you find out that you don't have the necessary skills. The other thing I want to say as I round up, 2 things. Learn broadly, right? And then begin to streamline. So there are 3 categories of developers, designers, or tech people, right? There are people who are called generalists. So these people are bobo niche, if you permit me to use that word, right? They can do several things. They've touched on different aspects of that work, all right? Then you have specialists, right? So people who have developed capabilities in a very specific area. And then you have, I describe it as cone-shaped, right, professionals. These are people who have developed broad capabilities, and they've also been able to streamline. So what it does is that no matter what the undulations are in the tech space, you always have your niche. and then you can always, swing back and forth between different aspects of your role. Do you understand what I'm saying? For example, we were trying to hire, and so we were interviewing someone. Now, this guy had worked in a very big bank in South Africa. He obviously works in a very large team, and so he's a specialized person in his team. But the problem with that is that he doesn't know how to then combine other aspects of his role. He can only do one thing very well. And right now, we don't need somebody that can do just one thing very well. We need somebody that can manage different things as in the best way possible, right? Finally, I would say get a mentor. Get somebody who is in the same role, who you can ask questions, who you can follow in that sense, right? And the reason is, many times the journey, your learning curve is going to be a lot shorter if you have somebody who can show you the ropes. Okay, I didn't really have mentorship, so I made a lot of mistakes along the way, learned things I didn't need to learn because I didn't know what was relevant and what was not. So I would say get a mentor. I offer free mentorship on ADP list. So if you can find me on ADP list, you can just book a session with me. I offer free mentorship. I can answer specific questions that you ask, and I think it will be helpful. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Please, if you have questions for him, just jot it down. If you don't have a paper or a sheet of paper, you can just raise your hand. The ushers will get across to you. Do we have anybody that has questions or that doesn't have a paper? All right. Please, if you have paper and you've written it down, you can collate it and raise it so that the ushers can collate it. We've received some questions already, and they are quite interesting. I can't wait for us to get into that. All right. We've learned how to. Can we recap what have we learned today? The first one, standard CV writing, not just CV writing. All right. The second one, it's an interview. The third one, transitioning into tech. All right. The last one is almost tying into the three of them. I mean, it all shows about building capacity and about, helping yourself build yourself. And you might not necessarily have to go to school. I mean, you've had almost all the speakers mentioned about learning something, right? And you might not have to be in a classroom. So it's about leveraging on platforms to learn, right? And to do that this morning, our last speaker for today, please welcome on stage Mr. Deji Omokonye.
Good morning, church. Yeah, if you are wondering what this is, when I told my team that I was coming to speak here on Sunday, my chief of marketing, who is sitting right there, said I should bring gifts. So I've bought gifts. I think maybe I'll give a couple and I will let them determine how to give the rest. Maybe the person who asked the most intelligent question. Okay, this is church, so I think we can pray. Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. We thank you for all the speakers that have spoken. And we thank you for the advancement you have in plan for us in our careers. And as I sort of close or round up this speaking session, we ask that you minister to each and every one of us to the extent that we will be able to practicalize it and take action. In Jesus' name we pray. Okay, thank you very much. Kudos to the speakers who have spoken before me. I will try and be as good and as fast. And thank you to Pastor and Mrs. Adeni for inviting me. You can put up my presentation on the screen. I'll be speaking on harnessing virtual platform for career and business development. But before I start, there was something God spoke to me that I should say. I think it's for a couple of people here. The word was specifically delayed gratification. I was tied to what he was saying very interestingly. It seems some of us are in situations and positions where we are digging our roots. I mean, it's your time of learning. It's the time when you're not making the money, you're not making the impact you thought you would make, but it's actually a time of growth. Just think of it like, is it the palm oil fruit that takes about 3-4 years to grow? So the same thing happens in career and business too. There's a time to learn. There's a time to sit down and take that time to learn. If you're in that time, don't be discouraged at all. Your advancement is coming. And if you're building maybe a one-story building, the foundation is not as deep. But if you're building high-rise, you know how long it takes the foundation to go. And some of us were in that career, in that phase rather. Some of us will be entering the phase after this talk today. So don't be discouraged. Take it as your learning phase. And after you learn, you begin to earn. Okay. Harnessing virtual platform for business development. What is virtual platform? Simple and short. It's the fact that there are a lot of online platforms where you can use to learn. And we're lucky in our generation because previously, if you could not learn physically, there's nothing. I mean, there was no internet. I remember when I was growing up. I'm young, but it looks like we've grown a bit. We didn't have internet in Nigeria. The only thing we had there was Nitel, which you would call you. So you go somewhere to call and all of that. There's nothing you can learn online. But we're in a phase and in an age where we can learn online. Next slide, please. The next slide is to show a course in MIT. Introductions to Computers and Engineering Problem Solving. It's an underlevel course in MIT. You see, MIT school fees as an undergraduate underlevel is about $65,000. That's about 104 million naira. 1 year. You do how many courses? Maybe 10 courses. Now, MIT, next slide, please. MIT, because we have virtual platforms and all, they put a lot of their underlevel course out for free. If you divide it and all of that, that single course is worth about maybe 8 million naira. But you have it available for free on MIT. Introductions to Computer and Engineering Problem Solving. I remember when I was an undergraduate, there's one I had like that, like a mentor, yeah, who, irrespective of what we're doing in class, he would go to the MIT page and go and study it. Guess what? When he completed his undergraduate, of course, someone that had been following MIT all his life, his master was in Manchester University, PhD in Liverpool. Well, that's normal. What I'm trying to say is the fact that a lot of knowledge and access you wouldn't have had ordinarily if you were the physical time. Online virtual platforms give you the opportunity. That's Abubakar Sulaiman. He has a course on my platform. So I was introduced as the general manager of Unify. One of what we have is a learning management platform here for practical courses for Africa. Abubakar Sulaiman is the managing director of Sterling Bank. He's one of the most brilliant executives I've seen and I've known. You might likely never be in the same room with him, but he has done a course that you can interact with and it can help you. And this is exactly why virtual platforms are important. Yeah, why I could speak so much about virtual platform, of course I lead one. I think what's more important is to speak to why you should do it. Because there are maybe 8,001 virtual platforms for you to learn from. But if you think and you consider why you should do it, it would help. Number one, we are in the knowledge century. Times change. Things change so fast. When we were in school, I don't think there was anybody called product manager anywhere in Nigeria. In fact, product management, product designer sort of started from paper and the rest in like 2000, 2001 and all of that before it became global and all of that. There was nothing like that. So none of us studied product designer. None of us studied product development, product management, and 100 other skills available. So whatever you studied or whatever you are studying now, the likelihood of it being obsolete in the next few years is very high. So you need to be able to learn by yourself. I used to say that one of the most important skills we actually learned in school, especially in Nigeria, that jobs are sort of concentrated in some particular fields, and you can study things that if you wait 100 years, you still not get a job in it, yeah? It's the skill on how to learn. So if you know how to learn, it's good for you. Many times we tend to underestimate the value of learning. Many times we just want to jump into things and say, oh yeah, I can do it, let me do it. Similar to what he said. But the great leaders, they are great learners. Charlie Munger says, those who keep learning will keep rising in life. You know, Charlie Munger, if you don't know him, is one of the lifelong partners of Warren Buffett. So they both run Berkshire Hathaway. That's the most profitable investment company in the world, yeah? His children joke that the guy is a walking book because at least he dedicates maybe 1 hour, 2 hours to reading and learning every day. Now, I'll go straight to what I think you should be learning. Now, this is suggestions. First and foremost, I think that you should learn something that is practical to what you're doing now. Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a business owner? Are you a banker, a lawyer? You should take courses Now, when I mean take courses, both take courses and read books, yeah, but you should learn things that apply to what you are doing at the moment. Why? You need to be better at your job. You need to be excellent at your job. So when you learn things that apply to what you're doing now, number one, of course, you can make more money, you can get promotion, you can make more impact and all of that. When you do stuff like that, it helps you. It's an investment into your immediate future, like your current future and your next future. It's an investment into what you're doing currently and your immediate future. Number two, take courses in line with your next role. That is, okay, maybe you are I've worked in the bank, so let me use banking. You're a banking officer, for example, and you want to become a senior banking officer. You want to go into middle management, or you're in middle management, you want to go into senior management. So you know that, for example, you want to go to middle or senior management, it's not only technical skills you need. So you need to be taking courses and learning things related to that next level. How do you do it? What do you need there? You need to take courses. Then number three, you need to take non-technical courses. There are some things that are just universal. Sometimes you wonder why some people are so intelligent. It's not necessarily because they are specially intelligent. It's because they've taken time. For example, design thinking. Irrespective of what you do in life, you should have a basic understanding of design thinking, effective communication, leadership, either in church, at home, except you don't plan to give birth. You'll be a leader one way or the other. So these are basic, non-technical, but everyone should learn it, irrespective of what you're doing. How do you think about things? Logical reasoning. You need to know these things. One of the things I think you should also be learning is new trends. AI is not just a trend now. It is actually something that is going to change our future collectively in the world. And it's already becoming a sad phenomenon that the whites are quite advanced. They are applying it so much, and a lot of the data sets in AI already are tailored to the whites. We don't have a lot of black data set. That's why someone will say that let's dive into something is using ChatGPT, something that we always use, like let's dive into the scriptures. We don't have enough black data sets, and we need to know it. We need to be at the forefront of these kind of things. So these are things we should know. Green ecosystem, it's whether it's a fad or it's real, but it's something that is very important, being spoken about in the world today, and you need to know it. And then there are life lessons I think you should learn. You should learn how to make money. You see, Bible says that there will be poor people amongst us. But again, there will also be rich people amongst us. You make your choice. I think you should learn how to make money. If you really want to make impact, money makes it easy. Let me put it like that. You should learn communication, psychology. You should learn psychology. You are going to be relating with human beings all your life. Well, maybe some people, maybe your role will never involve human beings. I don't know. But if you're going to be relating with human beings, you should understand at least a bit of psychology, economics. Naira was floated last year. Part of the implication was that companies that are import dependent were going to likely make losses because they spend a lot of effort. If you don't know it, some people that knew it have made hundreds of millions buying stocks, removing their stocks from those companies. And all that. If you don't know it, you will just be confused. So many things. What does it mean when CBN says they are increasing NPR, they are decreasing NPR? As funny as this sounds, and as unrelated as it is to what you do, they affect the value of your money. Cost of bag of rice last year is not cost of bag of rice this year. Why? Simple economics. I think those are important things that everyone should learn. So apart from what is important for what you're doing at the moment, I think you should learn that. Also, in line with giving gifts, my platform, I have a learning management platform. It's called govertical.io. I asked my team to put out something, so you can log on now and check. You will see, when you log on to the platform, you will see, get a special discount. For here, I asked them to add the Ransomed house there. So anybody that do that from here, for any of the courses there, I'll give you a 30% discount for it. So if you sign up and put in your details and select the course you want, that will be today, because after today, it will be removed from the platform board. Yeah. Now, some learning tips before I go. Number one, some of the big tech companies have courses. And if you want to transition, especially to tech, Google has a lot of courses: digital marketing, product management, project management, a whole lot of courses. And these are people who are doing it practically. So the people who are teaching in those platforms are people who are doing it, not just like your university lecturers, but people who are actually practicing what they're teaching, yeah? And for some of these things, it's very practical. I've taken one or two of those courses before. You can get them on Coursera. And one of the things I will tell you is that some of some of the learning platforms, the goal is not totally profit oriented. That's why, for example, I could give a 30% discount. We will take the loss as it were because the goal is not 100% profit oriented. We want to make money. We want to make impact too. For many of these Google courses on Coursera, yeah, you can apply for financial aid. You can apply for financial aid that I know some of the courses as high as $90 per quarter of the course, but if you apply for financial aid, you can drop it massively to something you can pay for. So if you want to transition, it's something you should consider. Number two, one of the things I think you can do, I mentioned non-technical things I think you should learn, communication, leadership. Part of the way you can help yourself in learning those things is that you don't necessarily have to sit down in front of your computer learning it. You play it, for example, when I'm ironing, when I'm washing, when I'm cooking, I can listen to those courses. Then when I have something that sort of impacts me, maybe then I will carry my iPad and note it down. What I'm saying essentially is that because we're busy, we're in Lagos, or you go to work, you go in the vehicle from your house to the office or wherever, that's maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Just listen to those courses, watch it. And when you have something, because even when you listen to things and you don't understand, over time you begin to understand and you begin to put it into practice. So I think you should do that. Number 3, have a dedicated time for learning. For me, for example, I take learning as part of my job. So usually, I work mostly remote. So usually when I'm on my desk, 7, 8 a.m., up to like 10 a.m., I don't take meetings, except it's very important. What I'm doing is I'm learning. So I'm either reading a book or taking a course. Up to 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m., except there's something, an emergency, usually. Between that 7 and 10, I'm either taking a course or I'm reading or something. Why? If you don't improve yourself, after some time, your skill will become obsolete. Yeah? And then set deadlines for yourself and make yourself publicly accountable. Why am I saying this? You see, many times we can say we will do something and, well, because we are the one holding ourselves accountable, we will not do it. It's not clear there, but what you can see there, August read, September read. That was something I shared with my team. I try to do it every month. Like, what is there is the books I read in August and the course I completed. And I put there the books I was going to read in this September and the courses I read. You know what? Even if it's 2 days to the end of the month and I've not read it, I will read it. I mean, it happened last month. I had gone about 60% because I was not feeling well for like 1-2 weeks in the month. So I just gone about 60%. And it was 2 days to the end of the month. And I know that I told my team members that I'm going to finish this book before the end of the month. You know what I did? I went to look for the audio book. I sat down in the parlor, put the audio book, put the book, and I was listening to it, and I was reading. Then, of course, when I get to where it speaks to me specifically, I will do it. But essentially, I finished. Why? Because I had publicly committed myself to it. I think that if you publicly commit yourself, either to your friends, a group of people, your friend or something, and tell them, this is what I'm going to do this month. Whether it's the shame or the encouragement, you will do it. We're reading the Bible, myself and a couple of friends, the full Bible, and we're using YouVersion. Guess what? Because it's a group, everybody can see where everybody stopped. So I'm like, hey, they will see that I've not read my Bible in the past 14 days. What does that make me do? It makes me consciously read. So I think you should commit yourself publicly. When I mean publicly, it can be a group of your friends, can be your community in church or something. But commit yourself publicly to it. And the last thing I will say is a quote by Warren Buffett. He says that the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you earn. You see? That's the absolute truth. Many times we tend to take things for granted. We tend to we just do it, we just wing it. Go and ask people who are actual leaders, who are real leaders. You will see that they do a whole lot of learning. I'll ask 2 questions so that I can give some of these gifts out. I quoted someone earlier, much earlier, not the last quote now. Who was that? Charlie Munger. Okay, you can come and have this. And I mentioned my company's learning management system. Who knows it? Okay, so many people shouted it at the same time, so I don't know what to do. So I'll let Tosin deal that. Okay, who can spell it? Okay, you, yeah. No, sorry. It was the lady behind you I called. Okay. Okay, thank you. You can have this. Thank you very much.
Is this for me? All right. By the power vested on me, I think I will be giving myself this. All right, thank you very much. And wow, I know there are a lot of questions. I've been going through these questions, and people really want to know. So I think I'll just dive into the question straight. Desmond, this can we get extra? So you can just pass across the mic. Oh, okay. We don't know who the question is for, but I mean, I will just start with. I saw a very interesting one, and I think I will direct it to Mr. Mayor. Said, okay, I think I have to keep it personally because I've been wanting to ask that question too. They asked us, they asked us for our current salary, and how do you answer that question? And how does what are the implications of your current salary? Because that question, so I've been wanting to ask, if you want to pay me 1 million per month, why do you need to know what I'm earning right now? Right? So just give me. If I not tell you that my and then okay, then let me tie it to expectation. When they ask, what is your current expectation for this role? Now you have 1 million as a budget a month. I now said my expectation is 600. You're not giving me 600. Is it fair? So, please, can you answer that question?
Okay, so first things first, best practice, you're not supposed to ask that question. Best practice, right? Globally, you're not supposed to ask what an applicant earns, what their current earnings is. But we have that practice in Nigeria a lot, yes, I know. So I would explain based on my knowledge. Two things, right? They're trying to benchmark you against what their budget is. All right? So, for instance, let's say the budget is 10 naira. And you want to earn, and you currently earn 200 naira. Of course, you're way above their budget. Okay? So that's one reason why they asked that question. Another reason why some of them ask that question is because they're also trying to gather data. Okay? So they ask that question because they want to have data on what their competitors. So if I'm interviewing someone that works in my competitor's industry, I may ask that question also to gather data. So you might not necessarily know why they're asking that question. But the best way to answer it is to tell them, oh, I know the organization has a budget. Make me an offer, and I'm willing to negotiate. Simple and plain. Thank you.
All right. This is for Mrs. Dorothy.
Sorry,
Okay.
I want to add something to it. He spoke from the perspective of an HR person. So I will speak from the perspective of not being an HR person, yeah? Because I know I've asked this question several HR people, yeah? In many sectors, there are bands and grades in terms of amount and payment. So maybe, for example, in banking, there's executive trainee, senior executive, assistant banking officer, and all of that. So there's already a job sort of like a pay grade for it. Now, part of why many people ask that question is, number one, for order. I know a company in Nigeria, I won't mention them, of which, because of how they totally avoid the question. Now, I said best practice here, but how they totally avoid the question and all of that. You can be the boss of someone, and the person will be earning 1.5 of your salary. Guess what? When you as the boss knows that, the next thing you want to do is find another job. And it creates chaos. It's not orderly. When someone that is reporting to someone that is reporting to you is any higher than you, you'll be like, what's happening? And it happens a lot. So when they ask, they want to be able to grade it. That's one. Secondly, as I said, budget. They have a budget for it. I've seen, if you are a junior person, I mean, entry level and all, it's best you answer the question. Because you may not have much negotiating power. And that's when practical. But by the time you become a medium manager, a senior manager, you can negotiate much more easily. But if you're a junior person and you tell them that, I'm not going to tell you my salary, I actually have such a situation and I didn't hire the person. Because I'm like, see, I don't have time. I have many candidates, and I need to fill this role. You are telling me salary, no salary. You don't want to tell me your salary and all of that. The person that told me, and I think the person is as good, maybe better than you. So I hired the person. So if you're a junior person, you don't have much opportunity, and you have to understand that you are in Nigeria, and that is the practice. Now, when you are not in Nigeria, that's a different case. But by the time you become a medium manager, a senior manager, it's much easier. You can negotiate. So without them knowing your salary, you can tell them, I want 100 million annual salary, and that is it. If you don't have it, I'm not coming. Thank you.
All right. This is for Mrs. Dorothy Akogun. You mentioned we shouldn't include hobbies. Is it the same as interest, like researching, surfing, and surfing the net? Sorry.
Okay, so yes, you should not include that. Except it is something relevant to the role. If the role is the role of a researcher and your hobby is researching, maybe. But then generally, you don't need to include hobbies in your resume. You are trying to project your best self. You're trying to say, I'm the best for this role. Hire me for this role. I can get you the result you want. So you don't need to do that. And sorry, let me just speak to the first question. The part of expectations that you mentioned, how to give your salary expectation. I would say carry out a research before the interview. There are so many job descriptions today that include the salary range. So look for job descriptions for that role. Go to Jobberman, go to Hot Nigerian Jobs. You see a lot of job descriptions that have the salary range. So you have an idea of what the pay for that role is. Okay, and that can give you, and then you decide by yourself, what's the minimum I'm willing to take? Think of your transport fare, think of your feeding, all of that. Exactly. What is the minimum that I am willing to take that I know that I can live conveniently, comfortably, right? So think of that too before you, that would help you come up with an expectation, but you should have an expectation actually.
All right. I think this is for Mr. Nii. I don't have a degree, or if I have OND or HND, is it possible way for me to transition into tech despite not having a degree? Is it possible?
Yeah, amazing question. So I used to work at a company where one of our best developers never went to university, right? And that's because I think even at that company, I don't think they ever saw my certificate. At my current company, I'm not even sure they know like whether I graduated with the first class. They don't care, because with tech, your leverage is what you've done before and what you can do, right? So with tech, it is about developing the right skills, doing something that shows that you've applied those skills. And that many times will be enough for you to get any role you're applying for.
All right. So don't cite that as, an excuse not to go into tech that I don't have a degree. You can hear from Mr. Nii. All right. The next question, I think this will go to Mr. Mewa. How do you answer a question you don't know? Asked by interviewer without stuttering.
So even now I'm laughing. Okay, the truth is, if you don't know, you don't know. Don't say what you don't know, because you might now go and say gibberish. You understand? Just politely say, okay, I don't know the answer to your question. It's as simple as that. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. We don't expect you to know everything. What if they insist that you must answer the question? But if you don't, but you've told them that you don't know, how can they insist that you don't know? Okay. No, so the question is, if you don't know it, as in you have tabula rasa, no knowledge of no answer to that question, how do you want to answer it? Hey, are you? I'm asking you.
All right.
Let me just add that now it's good to admit that you don't know it. But if there's something related to it that you know, you can say, I don't know about this, but what I have knowledge of is this. Okay, that's a good way to still present yourself as knowledgeable.
Okay. Or you could also say, even if you don't know, I'm willing to learn about it. So that's a better way to answer the question. I don't know it, but if you're given the opportunity, I'm willing to learn about it.
All right. There are some questions here that are a little bit personal, so you might have to, like I said, the experts will be available to answer your personal questions. Well, I'll try as much as possible to, What is AI? What is the procedure to learn how to make money? I don't even know who to but I think Mr. Deji, what is AI? And the second important one, procedure to learn how to make money. I can hear the frustration in this question. How can I make money?
Okay, I think I'll answer the latter question, which is how to make money. And it has to do with one word, L. Learn. Remove the L and you earn. So first you have to learn. You just have to learn. And you have to keep learning. Okay? And you keep learning all through your career. you don't stop learning. So when you learn, remove the L, then you earn. That's the answer to that question.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Let me just add something to that.
Please don't forget what is hey hi.
Yeah, I remember. So you see, there are different ways. Well, not so different ways to make money, but primarily, as I said, learn. You see, when you provide value, value will come to you. And the means of value before money was just transfer. I give you a cloth, you give me trade by barter. Yeah, that was before, but money was invented as a form of value. So you make money when you offer value. And what's the value? You do something that people can pay for. So primarily that's how you make money, either as a knowledge worker, you're working for a corporate organization, or you have a skill, or you're an entrepreneur, you're offering value. And that's like one of the base level to earn. The second higher level is from investment. Now, someone who doesn't have any money at all cannot say he's making money from investment. By investment, you are investing in other people who are doing the work. They don't have the money, but they have the skills, they have the knowledge. That's why people buy stocks, maybe government bonds and all of that. Some other people need the money. You give them your money, and you'll be able to make money. But you need to have offered value to the extent of having that money. I was talking with someone earlier, and I was saying that if you're in Nigeria, I think that the minimum amount you should have for you to be comfortable is 100 million naira. And how did I come about 100 million naira? On the average, if you have 100 million naira without working, just put it in treasury bills or bond or something, get a 20% interest, that's 20 million naira. Can't you live on 20 million naira comfortably in a year? So you need to make money, save, invest, offer value, make as much money as possible. If you have 100 million naira, you're making 20 million naira without working, you know that you're comfortable. So at the base level, you have to offer some sort of value. At the higher level, investment. And those people make way more money than those of us who are offering value. AI is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, it's at the moment as we speak, there are a lot of things we do. Before it was largely automations. I used to be an automations engineer, and what we do with automations primarily is whatever is operational that has rules, that okay, after this you do this, you do this, you do that, then you can automate it. But artificial intelligence is on another level. Whether it has rules or not, if you give it the right set of data, like, okay, for example, how many people come into this church every Sunday? Say 500 people come in every Sunday for maybe the data for 1 year. Artificial intelligence will be able to predict for you that, okay, based on the increase, maybe there's a 10% increase every month. By the end of that, it is very possible that next year, this is likely what we'll have. So artificial intelligence is essentially trying to copy human intelligence, be able to interpret things and all of that. So it's something you should know, because a whole lot of jobs are going to become obsolete. And you have to understand how to use artificial intelligence on your job so that you can, with artificial intelligence, I was reading, was it Twitter now? No, not Twitter, maybe Instagram or something. One of these companies said, what refactoring, that's if they are refactoring code, it takes them about 3 months to do. But with artificial intelligence, it takes them less than a day, because they have the base codes that they've used before, and they want to refactor the code to be updated to the latest standards, and they just put it in the artificial intelligence stuff that they've built, and okay, give us the updated version of it. 3 hours, 4 hours, it's done. So you really need to understand that so you know how to apply it.
All right, thank you. This is for Mrs. Dorothy. How can I write a cover letter, and what is the importance of cover letter?
Okay, thank you. Now, your cover letter is, there are some companies or some HR professionals that don't even want it, right? But then it's always good to have it, right? So a cover letter is just like a proposal that says, this is who I am, this is what I can do. I'm applying for this role because I can give you this value. That's the cover letter that you'll send with your resume. Okay, so how do you write a cover letter? It's very simple. The same way you compose your career profile, your professional summary, right? Basically, this is who I am. This is what I can do. This is the value I am offering to your company. Okay, you want these results. I am great at these results. And you can be a little more creative with your cover letter. The kind of creativity that you cannot use in your resume, you can be more creative in your cover letter. Okay, use the language of the company to say, oh, I am this. I have done this project, and because of that, I believe that I can help you achieve this. Okay, so basically you selling yourself, okay, before they read this, before they go through your resume. That's how to write a cover letter. And I just want to add that there's one thing I advise people that come to my program, and it's that you should have a portfolio, regardless of what field you are in. Okay, we are gradually moving to a skills-based economy. Competence is king. It's not about what you studied. It's not about qualifications. It's about competence. What can you do? So if you have a portfolio, regardless of your field, as an HR professional now, let's say I have designed a payroll software, or I have I've designed a dashboard, an HR dashboard. That is something I have done. I'll put it in my portfolio, put samples of what I have done. If I have reviews from my line manager, glowing reviews, I will put it in the portfolio, right? And I can record a 1-minute video introducing myself and, introducing what I can do. I'll put it in the portfolio. Google has made it so easy. You can go to Google Sites and use that to create a portfolio, sites.google.com. You can use that to create a portfolio. You can use Canva to create a portfolio. Link it, put the link in your resume with your LinkedIn profile link and all of that, so that you can include it in your cover letter as well. So if they want to know about you, they click on the link, they see your portfolio, they see what you have done. That is more convincing than anything that you can write in your resume. So I just thought to add that.
All right, thank you. She mentioned resume now, and I know, I've seen some people say, I don't have CVs, resume I have, or I don't have resume, a CV I have. So just for us to know that we are still saying the same language, am I right?
Yeah, so I would explain it this way. In many countries, CV and resume are used interchangeably. In some countries, CV is what is used to apply for educational programs, like your doctorates, right? Like your PhD research, like your fellowship and all of that. And what CV means to them is just something that you provide more detail about your educational accomplishments. Right, so this one is not focusing on your experience. It's focusing on what you have studied, your grades, your degrees, and all of that. So in some countries, right, CV is what is used to refer to what you apply for educational programs, right, your PhD, fellowship, and all. But then generally, in Nigeria here, CV and resume are the same thing. In many countries, CV and resume are the same thing.
Wow. After this seminar, we'll turn an expert to giving people advice. Sit down there, let me tell you. All right, this is a funny one. Are facial expression noted or needed during interview? Also, if I'm going for my first interview as a beginner, what are the major things to avoid or to indulge? So the first one is, are facial expression needed or noted? Maybe this person doesn't like to smile. Do I have to smile?
Okay, so I'll cite an example. I have someone I interviewed a while back for a customer service role, and throughout the interview, the lady did not smile. Exactly. Someone say, yes, she did not smile. And I gave her the feedback that, okay, you're applying for this role, because I like to give feedback. I said, there's a persona and a behavior they were looking for aside your technical competence and the skill sets that you have. Please smile. I know that you smile. And she said, okay. And she went for another interview with another organization and did the same thing. And then she called me back last week and said, Mewa, they said I didn't smile. I'm like, but I gave you that feedback. So, yes, facial expression matters a lot. And I tell people, there's something you need to understand. A smile is contagious. If I smile at you, he's smiling back automatically. So, please, we need to understand that also, that there's a behavioral part of an interview. We're not just looking at the technical competence, but we're looking at the person also, the culture fit, okay? So please try as much as possible to smile when you're having interviews, okay, when you're being interviewed.
All right, can you quickly, second part of that question, can you quickly touch on maybe the do's and don'ts? You don't need to, maybe just mention it because it's part of the question.
Okay, do's and don'ts for beginners interview. I'll start from your looks, okay? If you're going for I can go for an interview like this now because of my level. But if you're starting your career, please don't dress like this to an interview. Please do not dress like this to an interview. Look like this gentleman here. Please, you can stand
Please
up. let
stand
him
up,
see.
stand up.
So look like this gentleman here. Okay. So I'm not saying you should look like him, like the height, but the outfit. Please dress very professional. All right. Okay. Even if you don't have a suit, you have a shirt and a trousers and a tie. You can wear that. All right. The second thing I would say is when you're preparing for that interview, I said that when I spoke in there. Number one thing is to prepare. Interview 101, read about the company, know what they do. That's number one. Don't lie. What you've never done, don't say it, because a lot of people do that and they get into trouble. And we've been trained to identify lies because based on the answers you give us, we ask you more and we probe further. So while I'm probing, so I give you an example. You're applying for a sales role, and I ask you, okay, you've worked 1 year, right? What was your budget last year? Did you meet your budget? Say yes. I met my budget. I exceeded my budget. Okay, so how much did you make? Well, what was your budget? Oh, my budget was 10 million. I'm just giving an example. Like, someone has 1 year experience. My budget was 10 million, and I made 50 million. Oh, okay. How did you make 50 million? And I'll keep probing, and it will get to a point where you can't lie anymore. So don't lie. Say do it. If you didn't miss your budget, okay, I made 50% of my budget. Be honest, because it will help you, rather than you going to tell a story that you cannot defend. And it will definitely catch up with you. If it doesn't catch up with you in the interview, it will catch up with you on the job. At least you know when you get the job, you have probation period, 6 to 3 months. It will catch up with you. Okay. Another thing you shouldn't do that I'm doing now is to chew gum. So don't chew gum in an interview. Please, 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 do not chew gum in an interview. It could be very, very. And some people chew. I've been in an interview where the girl didn't know she was doing the consciousness. She was making that sound. You don't understand. And my boss was pinching me like, where did you get this candidate from? I'm sorry. So don't chew gum. Please do not chew gum. Okay? What other shouldn't you do? I don't know. Maybe I'll leave the rest of my colleagues to help me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. For virtual interviews, which a lot of us will be doing, please prepare before the interview. Still dress properly before the interview. Test your mic and your video before the interview to be sure that it's working. Okay, because when there are glitches, it just throws everybody off balance and you might not be able to present your best self. And then don't fidget too much. Be calm. It can be distracting. Okay, yeah. So I think those are...
All right.
Just one thing. If you are doing a virtual interview, have 2 sources of internet and make sure they're good. Okay, you said 3 sources. I've been at, I know one guy who lost a very important job because his internet went off during the interview. The guy is working, the salary is earning now. What he should be earning from that job should be at least like times 4, times 5. And it was because his internet went off. And that happened to me before too. Somehow, I don't know how I made that mistake, but then I was using my internet and the thing just tripped off because of the interview. And thank God my wife was around. I just told her immediately, subscribe, share me your hotspot. And that was what saved me immediately. But at least if you're doing a virtual interview, at least 2 or 3 sources of internet. And don't stay somewhere where it's distracting. Maybe you want to go and stay under a tree or something. It's funny, but these are things people do and you just like, I can't even bring this one to my company, just forget it. So please note that, yeah.
All right. The internet can be the forces against you, so prepare. All right. This is a very funny question. Considering the current economy realities, how best can you approach a conversation with your HR about salary increase?
Okay, so let me say, what are you offering? What value are you bringing to the table? Okay, and that's why I always tell people that you should have a place where you record your wins, track your progress, track your contributions, so that when you want to have that conversation, and please know how your input feeds to the bottom line. How does it improve the profitability of the business? Have you saved the business costs? Have you made the business money? Have you increased the customer base of the business? Those are the things that managers, okay, and the HR people want to know before, because if you want them to increase money and they are not making more money, you're not bringing in more money, then why should they increase your salary? So you should know how your contributions tie to the bottom line. What's your contribution bringing? What achievements have you made? And it's good that you know the requirements of the role ahead of you, especially if you want a promotion. So if you are I'll use an example of HR, right? You're an HR analyst, you want to move to a specialist role, okay? What are the qualities, what are the skills for that role? Have you started demonstrating it now? Because that is what you can use to say, I can do this already, right? I think I deserve a promotion because what you need that role to be able to do, I can do it already. So just know what value you are bringing to the table.
Sorry, let me just add something. So I cannot go and meet my HR and say, if put fuel at 900 now, my transport has increased. Is the company not doing anything for us?
I think that's a problem that many HR people are facing. Okay.
What she said is the bottom line. See, I don't think they necessarily like your face in the office. That because fuel has increased, they will increase your salary too. Really, it's about the value you're bringing. Fuel has increased, yes. Maybe as fuel has increased, have you done something that has increased the money of the company, or that is saving the company some money? If not, I mean, I've had people, as a business owner, I've had people tell me that, oh, because I'm working remotely, I should give them more money for internet. And I said, no problem, be coming to the office. By the time, the money you're using for transport and the time you will spend there, use it for the internet or come to the office every day. I don't care, just do your work. What I'm trying to say essentially is, you can't just go. Many times, when we're thinking of a company or a business is a person too, whose purpose is to make profit. If you can't show me how you are making increased profit, why should I increase your salary? The economy is hard on you, it's hard on the company too. After all, the same way fuel has increased, the fuel that we're running in the office too, it has increased too. So it's only if you can show me that you're adding more value to my business, that's what it will make sense for me to increase your pay.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Nee, there's some questions for you, but I think it's best approach they come to you personally because they are quite personal. Like, what course can I take to go into tech as a writer or researcher, right? If you are the one that if you ask that question, I would suggest you meet him one-on-one after the service. There will be time for consultation. All right. So please, if I've not read out any of your questions, it might be because it's personal. So please, you may have to reach out to whoever you want to answer those questions. This one is Mr. Deji. It's more about on focus and distraction. So in summary, because it's long, how can we stay focused? On learning platform, you can get distracted. At the beginning, you get the zeal. Maybe the course is 6 months. Then after 2 months or after 3 months, other things are coming on board. You are seeing first subsidy, you are not reading again. So how can you stay motivated? How can you keep the...
Let me answer in summary too. I've said a couple of it. One of it is publicly putting yourself on the spot. That personally works for me a lot. I wouldn't have told my team, for example, in my team, we read at least a minimum of a book a month. Being the leader of the team, I do minimum of 2 books a month, and they know. So if at the end of the month, we're now recapping on what we have read, and I say, this month, I can't give excuse. So I think if you publicly commit yourself to it, it would help you to stay focused. I also think that we are also in a distracted age. We used to say we don't have time, but actually what we don't have is attention, not that we don't have time. We all have 24 hours a day. It is the fact that, and it happens to all of us, you're reading on your phone and then a notification pops up and it's Instagram, and you get to Instagram and you don't know when you spent 1 hour. It's an ongoing battle we have to fight. Just this week, I uninstalled Twitter. Twitter is my own main distraction. Instagram and Facebook, I really don't care. But Twitter, because I like to read what's happening and all, and I realized I was beginning to, so, my phone at the end of every week will tell me what I've spent on each platform and all, and I'm like, wait, I'm spending this much time on Twitter. No wonder last week I don't finish my book on time, last month rather. So I just uninstalled Twitter. If I want to go to Twitter, I will go on my laptop so that I will know that it took conscious effort and I won't stay for hours. I think because we have so many distractions, it's easy for you to be distracted, especially social media. And remember what I said, delayed gratification. If you don't consciously sit down and tell yourself that this is what I'm going to do, it will be hard. And lastly, habit forming. That's why I said sort of have a dedicated time. Look at your work schedule, depending on what you do. If it is that it's the time between when you go from your house to the office, if it is that you will tell yourself, okay, if you are working remotely, maybe from 12 to 1 every day, I will use it to take a course. If you space yourself like that, and not like you want to finish a 6-month course in 1 month, if you space yourself like that every day, even if you are bored, tell yourself that 1 hour, you're not going to do any other thing apart from it. So be looking at the computer like this, or just do it. You will realize that you will cover more ground. There is what they call the 10,000 hour rule. You spend 10,000 hours learning and doing something, you become an expert in it. And see, there's a lot of benefit to becoming an expert, because there's this general conception that we Africans, we make money from our physical work, our hard work. For example, you see footballers, you say, oh, these guys are making money. But think about it, the people who own the club, you can imagine how much they are making for them to be paying footballers that. In a building, it's the bricklayer that sort of works the most physically. But the people who make the most money are the architects and the civil engineers who just think and say, okay, this is what to do, this is the plan and the strategy. And that's where we are supposed to get to. And it takes a lot of learning and quite a bit of doing the work to get there, such that you can sit in your office. Most of the bank managing directors and executive directors, what they earn is maybe if we combine all of our salary here together, that's what they earn in 1 month. But guess what? You won't see them coming to tell you, come and open accounts, come and do this, come and do that. It's what? It's strategic. And you need to learn to get to that level. And when you get to that level, the money is sweet, man.
All right. So I think I'll take like 4 more questions. Please, for all the tech-related questions, I can see they are all personal, right? So Mr. Ni will be around, Mr. Deji will also be around, so they will probably be at the back of the church. You can walk up to them and ask one-on-one questions. I would take about 3 more questions. I'll collapse these 2 together and I'll just summarize it. So, May or Mr. Torres, you can answer the questions. Talking about going for interview, how do you, when you're anxious or you are scared, how can you, prevent yourself from being anxious? Or how can you bring down those anxiousness and anxiety when you're going for interviews?
All right. I think practice. And I said that during my slide. You need to practice the interview, how the interview will look. All right? So you stand in the mirror, ask yourself the question, and you answer, and you're seeing yourself how you stutter. Okay? You need to practice that to build your confidence. And I tell rookies, so rookies are people that are early in their career, an interview is a gist, is a conversation between 2 people. And they want to get to know you. They want to get to know who you are. They want to get to know what you've done. Right? See it as, like I said, you're going on a date. So you want to meet this person, and you're asking the person questions. It's a gist. Just see like you're gisting with someone. And that's what it is, really. It's gist. It's just the formal setting of, oh, I'm on this side, the person on the other side. It's a conversation, just like we're having now. It's a conversation. So I don't think, I would say I don't think you shouldn't be nervous because it's your first time. But I think you need to calm down, and you should practice first. Please practice before the final date of the interview. Okay? Get questions online that are relating to what they will ask you, and practice how you would answer those questions with the person in the mirror. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I just want to add, there are some statutory questions that will be asked in an interview. Prepare for them ahead. You know that the first question they will ask is, tell me about yourself. You'll be able to say, this is who I am. As in, this is what, and when they say, tell me about yourself, they don't need to know where you're from, how many siblings you have, and all of that, no. It is your career history. What has brought you to this point? That's what they want to know. What can you do? Okay, so you know that they will ask that question, tell me about yourself, prepare for it. You know that they will ask you, do you have any questions? Think of questions ahead, right? So preparation helps you know about the company and know about the role. Preparation helps you to be able to answer questions easily. And like you said, it's a conversation. As much as they are assessing you, you two are assessing them. Is this a company I want to work with? Okay, what kind of people are these people? I think if you go with that and then know whose you are, know who you are and whose you are. You're a child of the Most High. Okay, don't be scared. There's no reason for you to be afraid because you are the child of the Most High and He has the whole world in His hands. He can give you that job. So that's what
All right. So, hard. So,
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not an HR professional, but I just feel the need to add this. They've said it. I'm just summarizing what they said. You see, knowledge puts you at an advantage. When you have adequate knowledge, you are less likely to be nervous because you've covered all the bases. You know that whatever they ask, you probably have something to say about it. And the second one, which is very important because we are people of faith, never approach an interview as if everything depends on it. Even if you think it does. Even if you think, if I don't get this job, I don't know the hope I have. You have hope in Christ. You see, when you attend an interview with that mindset, your nervousness shows. It shows that you've just put all your faith in this, that if they don't give me this job, maybe I'm just going to die. You should never have that mindset. Just have the mindset that I will do the very best I can. If I don't get this one, I will have learned something. I will attend another one, and I will get it. Don't do as if everything is at stake. It shows.
All right. Thank you so much, Phil. I'll read through some questions. If they are personal, please, I'll tell you who to walk up to. Can I learn through internship before taking courses or while taking courses? Mr. Deji, can I intern at Unify? People are shooting shots. Can I intern at Unify? All right. I think I will allow you meet Mr. Ni after the... So if you wrote this question, please walk to Mr. Ni. But I think he will answer your question personally. I saw one interesting question. I don't know. Even me, I can tell you that you should check this company they are working for. For a company that doesn't give an employment letter, it's very dangerous. Let me start from that. Is it okay if you don't tender a resignation when you are leaving also?
So I would say, first of all, any company that doesn't give you an offer letter, you're not an employer to that organization because that's a contract, right? And I also say these two wrongs don't make it right. Do the right thing regardless. Resign, right? But first of all, don't resume at that place. They did not give you an offer, so why are you going there? Because they can terminate it. There's nothing that is, they can say not to pay you. There's nothing that binds you, exactly, that's the word. There's nothing that binds you to them. Your offer letter is a contract that you sign.
All right, thank you so much. Why do they have social media manager for resume instead of proof of work or portfolio? So I think it's social media manager, and I'm suspecting she doesn't have a CV. So when they ask, when they ask, submit your CV, maybe he or she is bothered that, why don't you ask for what I've done before? Why are you looking for my CV? So he or she is asking, why? Then second question, can we have a template to pitching to PTO? I don't know what PTO means, but maybe a template for pitching.
Okay, so why should you have a CV? Your CV, you are a total stranger to them, right? So they need to know what qualifications, what skills you have, right? The portfolio, you can include it as a link in your CV. So they would click on the link and then see your portfolio. But then your CV is really what represents you. It's what goes ahead of you, right? Many times they will put the CV through an ATS to shortlist because they may not be able to do the manual work of shortlisting. A portfolio cannot go through an ATS. It's a CV, it has to be a CV, right? They'll be looking for keywords in the role that match the CV. So you should have a CV that would give you an edge, that can get you a door in, that would make the recruiter take the time to look at your portfolio, right?
All right. There is one for Mr. Nee, but I think you have to talk to me personally. The person is talking about, transiting from our current role into data analysis or something. I think these are personal, so you can walk up to him. All the tech rating question I have is too personal. This one also says, how do I find mentors in tech? And I think it's somewhat personal. Do you have any recommendation for mentors? And how can we make similar transition, probably from your experience? So I think it's personal. So you can walk up to him. Now give example for me, an accounting graduate trying to dwell into tech. Please just walk up to Mr. He is going to tell you his experience. This person is also telling you, as a customer care expert, what higher paying role? I think I will allow this question because many people have asked me the question, even in this church. Right? It's like maybe you are a receptionist. What are the roles you can transit to in that line? Or you're a customer care service, or you are an accountant or a cashier. So what are the roles in that line that you can transit to? Maybe that person doesn't want tech. The tech alone gives the person a headache. But that same line, what can they transit into? I don't know if you're able to answer it. Miss Dorothy.
Okay, so I would say this, right? Don't limit yourself to that role, right? And then you have an advantage because many CEOs, many managing directors are people that have some sales experience, right? You would find sales, marketing, many CEOs, many C-level executives are people that have that experience. So if don't limit yourself. You can become the CEO of the company that you work at, right? Just know the skills for the next level and pursue it. For customer success, for customer service, you can become the customer service lead of the company, right? You can do a bit of marketing. You can delve into marketing and be the head of marketing of a company. You can, it's a very, very versatile field, in fact. You can even switch to human resources, become a human resources manager. It's a very, very versatile field. So there's no limit to what you can do. You just have to decide on what career path you want to pursue, right? Decide on what heights you want to get to, and then find out, okay, what's the next step? What skills do I need for that next step? And that's.
So there's a danger of when you're doing an operational role for you to get stuck in it, because it doesn't require a lot of intelligence. What it requires is just follow whatever they've laid down. That can happen in customer service. That can happen in a lot of operations role, like cashier and all of that. First and foremost, if you are doing such a role, just tell yourself you're not going to do more than the next 1 year there. So decide within yourself what exactly is the next thing you're going to do. Take the courses for that next thing and begin to apply. That's the one. Because if you stay in something that is not engaging your mind for so long, you become dull, actually. You'll not be as brilliant, as sharp as you used to be. That's the one. A second thing I would say, because you mentioned that you've had that question a bit, one of the things we can do, I do that a lot, is look for people who have done that. Let me give an example with the customer experience, customer service role. Before I go to that one, I remember, I didn't know that there are friends of my friends who they were doing customer service. In fact, I thought of leaving my job then. That time I was earning 200,000 naira. These guys were doing customer service remotely for some company in Holland or something, and they were making like 200,000 naira every week. Me, I was automations engineer. I was earning 200,000 in a month. They were earning it every week. So in this remote work, flexible environment, there are a lot of customer experience jobs that will pay you higher than what your guy is earning. That is it. Then, in terms of corporate career in Nigeria, do something. Go to LinkedIn. The company you are working, the boss, what is their job role? Head of customer experience for the different banks, for the different companies. What do they do? What qualifications do they have? What work experience do they have? What trainings have they taken? By the time you do that for, say, 50 people, I'm not giving a low number because you want to use it to make a decision, a direction for your life. So if you want to use that kind of direction, use a lot of samples. There are how many banks? 20-something banks in Nigeria. Tech companies, telecommunication companies and all of that. Go and look at their head of customer experience, their head of customer services. What's their career journey like? What are the certifications they have? Many of them will have it on LinkedIn. When you look at all of that together, you see some things that stand out. Maybe, this person has this person has this person has this. Then you know that should be the next thing you should do. And you'll be able to know how to transition upward.
All right. Can you all agree that our expert has done a good job? Can we all agree that he did a good job? All right, can you please give them a warm round of applause? All right, quickly before, we've come to the end, but again, it's very important for those that have the one-on-one consultation or advice they want from the experts. But before we do that, I want to quickly recap on a few things. Mrs. Dorothy shared a link with me for those that want to take a course on CV writing. Please, if after this seminar, you walk up to me that you need someone to help you check your CV, the first question I will ask you is, have you gone through that course? Because if you've not gone through that course, then it will be difficult for me to recommend someone for you. So please, if you want that course, please, you can walk up to me. Although I will share it on the church WhatsApp group, but if you are not on the church WhatsApp group, please walk up to me. I will share the link with you so that you can take that course. But please, can we thank Mrs. Morosi for sharing that with us? And I know Mr. Deji also gave us a one-time benefit for today, right? He's going to share it with me how you can, a course, a platform course we can all take. Like he said, today, and I'm emphasizing on that because I know how we can all be. I'm also guilty of it sometimes, right? When we come to a gathering like this, you are all excited, then you get to and that's it. Guess what? Tomorrow, Monday, the problems still remain, right? But today, please take those courses. It's just this thing is not free, but just for today, is making it free for us. Reach out to me, or you can walk up to me after the service so that I can send the link to you. You can sign up and tell you how to sign up, so you can have that experience. Then, lastly, I always like to. After every seminar like this, I always like to do something. Just for 1 minute, I want us to take out our phone. I want phone, not jot our books because we use our phone daily. Just write something that resonated with you today, that you put action to, that you do today, that you start doing from today. If you are not bringing out your phone, I'll call your name. I want us to do that. Commit to one thing you do. If it's to review your CV often, if it's to take a course every month, if it's to, make a research about your career every month, just do one thing. Write it up, probably in your notepad, and commit to it that every month or every year or every quarter, you can put a timeline to it. Make it smart. Right? That you'll be doing this. It doesn't have to be much. Don't commit yourself to like 5 things. Just one thing. Commit yourself to that one thing.